Hello and welcome everyone to yet another tech enthusiastic video from Edureka. Today we will be learning about Java programming. But before we get started, please subscribe to Edureka's YouTube channel to never miss an update on the trending technologies in the current IT industry. And also, if you're looking for an online certification in Java, then I have dropped down a link in the description box below. So let's get started. Firstly, let's have a look on the agenda for today's discussion. We shall begin with the very first topic, that is the first Java program, and followed by the first Java program, we shall understand why exactly Java is the most preferred programming language in the current IT industry, and also we shall also learn some of the important features of Java programming language. Followed by that, we shall understand the basic concepts of Java programming such as the data types, variables, control statements, loops, etc. And followed by that, we shall enter the most important topic, that is the object-oriented programming concept of Java. And followed by that, we shall understand some advanced programming concepts in Java such as multi-threading, exception handling, and many more. And to make things interesting, we shall also execute some use cases based on core Java. So I think I made myself clear with the agenda. Now let's quickly begin with our first Java program. So the first Java program that we will be executing is none other than the Hello World. So we will be executing this Hello World program in Eclipse IDE. For beginners, please understand that to execute any Java program, you need JVM in your local system. That is, you need to install JDK into your local system and set the environment variables. Followed by that, you need to choose one of the editors, and there are many editors out there which are highly popular such as IntelliJ, Eclipse, and many more. I have preferred Eclipse over here. If you want to know the installation procedure of Java and Eclipse, please go through the complete detailed procedure in Java tutorial. So this particular program here is none other than the Hello World Java program. So the first line of the code is nothing but the package. So the package here which I have declared is Edureka, and followed by that the class. So inside the class we have mentioned our main program, and inside the main program the first statement that we have included is the system.out.println, and the libraries for system.out.println will be in the system libraries, and this particular statement will be printing the message hello world. Now, to execute this program, let's select Run and wait for the output. You can see that the program has been successfully executed, and our very first output, which is the simple Hello World message, has been printed on the console. Now that we know the basic requirements to execute a Java program, that is, install Java into the local system and set the environment variables, followed by that also install a popular IDE for Java, and we have also executed a basic Hello World program, we shall advance further and also learn some of the other major topics in Java, which are the object-oriented programming concepts, operators, methods, control statements, loops, method overriding, method overloading, and many more. But before all that, I think we should know the structure of Java program. This is the same program that we have executed earlier, so let's understand the structure here. So the first thing you see is the class and Edureka. So class is the keyword and Edureka is the class name. So the first line what we write in our usual programming is declaring the class. So the class is a keyword and Edureka is the name of the class as discussed before. You can write your own name in your class. And followed by that, you open the class and the very first statement you declare is the main method. And the access specifier for this main method is public. And whatever you write inside the main method will be declared as static as default. And followed by that, you will enter into the main class, and inside the main class, there you go, you have your statements. And after the statements, you close the main class, and followed by that, you close the class. So that is what the basic structure of a Java program. Now we shall advance further and understand the major features of Java. So the first among the features is Java is completely open source. Java from its day one is completely meant to be free and open source for everybody, so that every single programmer can access the features of it and use it for coding. And all the versions of Java are available for all the types of operating systems such as Windows, Linux, and Mac. Followed by that, the next important feature of Java is its high performance. Java is faster than other traditional interpreted programming languages because Java bytecode is close to native code. It is still a little bit slower than compiled language such as C, C++, but Java is an interpreted language, that is why it is slower compared to other languages. Followed by that, the next important feature is the multi-threaded nature. A thread is called as a separate program executing concurrently. We can write Java programs that deal with many tasks at once by defining multiple threads. The main advantage of multi-threading is that it doesn't occupy memory for each thread. It shares a common memory area, and the threads are important for multimedia, web applications, and many more. This multi-threading feature saves memory as well as time. Followed by multi-threaded nature, the security. Java is best known for its security. With Java, we can develop virus-free systems, and Java is secure because there is no explicit pointer and Java programs run inside a virtual machine sandbox. And just because of the virtual machine, the Java programs doesn't have to interact with the host operating system. So that's the major advantage, and there is no way that virus can interfere with the host operating system. Now followed by the secured feature, the next upcoming feature is the platform independency. Java is platform independent because it is different from other programming languages such as C, C++, and etc., which are compiled into platform-specific machines, while Java is write once and run anywhere language. Because of this feature, you can write your code, say in Linux, and execute it in any other operating system such as Windows, Mac, or any other flavors of Linux. So followed by the platform independency, we have the next major feature, which is portability. Java is portable because it facilitates you to carry the bytecode to any platform. It doesn't require any kind of implementation for that. Followed by portable nature, the next major feature is the object-oriented nature. Java is an object-oriented programming language. Everything in Java is an object. Object-oriented means we organize our software as a combination of different types of objects that incorporates both data and behavior. Last but not the least, Java is considered to be highly robust. Robust simply means strong. Java is robust because it uses strong memory management, and there is a lack of pointers that avoid security problems. Followed by that, there is an automatic garbage collector in Java, which runs the Java virtual machine to get rid of objects which are not being used by Java application anymore. Followed by that, there is an exception handling and all type of checking mechanism in Java. All these points make Java completely robust and strong. So these were the few important features of Java. Then we will advance into the variables present in Java. A variable is a container which holds the value while the Java program is executed. A variable is assigned with a data type. Variable is the name of memory location. There are three types of variables available in Java, which are local, instance, and static. Firstly, we shall discuss about the local variables. A variable declared inside the body of a method is called as local variable. You can use this variable only within the method, and the other methods in the class aren't even aware that this variable exists. Followed by that, we have the instance variable. A variable declared inside the class but outside the body of the method is called as an instance variable. It is not declared as static, and it is called instance variable because its value is instance specific and it is not shared amongst other instances. Last but not the least is the static variable. A variable which is declared with using the keyword static is called as static variable. It cannot be local. You can create a single copy of static variable and share among all the instances of the class. Memory allocation for static variable happens only once when the class is loaded in the memory. So these were the variables present in Java. Now we will move ahead and understand the data types present in Java. So basically all the programming languages has some data types. Similarly, we also have some data types in Java which are completely similar to other programming languages, which are none other than these int, float, double, character, long, short, byte, and boolean. Now let us also understand the allocation or memory size of all these data types which are being used in Java. So basically, integer data types owns 2 bytes of memory in Java, and followed by that 4 bytes for float, 8 for double, 8 for long, and 2 bytes for character, and 1 byte for short. Followed by that we have byte, which owns 1 B, and lastly the boolean, which also has 1 byte of memory allocated while it is used in execution of a program. So these were the basic data types and their memory sizes allocated in Java programming language. Followed by the data types, we shall advance further and learn the important operators in Java. So firstly, what exactly is an operator? Operators are special symbols or characters that carry out operation on operands. Operands are none other than variables of values. For example, plus is an operator and performs addition on operands which are A and B. Now, what are the basic types of operators which are present in Java? So Java has unary operator, arithmetic operator, shift operator, relational operator, bitwise operator, logical operator, ternary operator, and lastly the assignment operator. Now let us understand each of these operators in a bit more detail. Firstly, we shall understand the unary operator. The unary operator requires one operand to perform various types of operations in Java programming language. Now, let us execute a sample program based on unary operators to have some good understanding about it. As you can see, this particular example is based on unary operator, and the operator which we have used here is known as increment operator, and this increment operator comes under the category of unary operators, and as discussed before, this particular operator has one single variable which is x here. Followed by post increment, we have the next type of increment operator here, which is placed before the variable x. So the meaning of this particular code is it is a pre-increment operator. Followed by the pre-increment operator, we have the double negative symbol, which is the post decrement operator, and lastly, the pre-decrement operator. Now let's execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the output has been generated here. The first result of the post increment is 10. The pre-increment value is 12, and the post-decrement value is 12, and the pre-decrement value is 10. Now we shall advance further and understand the next type of variables, which are none other than the arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators perform the basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and other mathematical operations. Now we shall execute a sample program based on arithmetic operators to have a better understanding. Here we have two different variables. The first one is A, 10, and the next one is B, 5. Now we are performing the basic addition operation, subtraction operation, multiplication operation, divide by operation, and modulus operation on these two numbers. Now let's execute this program and see the output. You can see the program has been successfully executed and the output is also generated. And the first addition resulted in 15, subtraction resulted in 5, multiplication resulted in 50, division resulted in 2, and modulus resulted in 0. Now we shall continue further and understand the next type of operators, that are the shift operators. The shift operator basically converts the decimal number or whatever the input given into binary code, and this binary code numbers will be shifted towards right or left based on the number of times the user requests for. And after shifting the binary bits, the resultant binary code is converted back into the decimal or the required format, and then the new output will be displayed. So here, to understand shift operators in a better way, let's execute a sample program. So here you can see this particular program is basically an example for shift operator. So here, the number that we have provided is 10. So basically what shift operator does is it converts the decimal number 10 into binary format, and after that its bits will be shifted towards left side, and the number of bits shifted towards left side will be 2, and the final binary number after shifting 2 bits will be converted back into decimal format and the new number will be displayed. Similarly, the left shift operator is again used, and here we are shifting 3 bits. Followed by that we have changed the number to 20 and we are shifting towards left with 2 bits, and lastly number 15, and the number of bits we will be shifting towards left are 4. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. Now you can see that the program has been successfully executed and the output is also generated. The left shift operator, which is used to shift 2 bits of decimal number 10, resulted in the new decimal number 40. Similarly, the second output is 80, followed by that we have 80 again, and finally we have 240. So this is how shift operator works. And similarly, we can use right side shift operator to shift the operators towards the right side. Now followed by the shift operators, the next upcoming operator is none other than the relational operator. Relational operator is known to everyone. We all know the greater than or less than symbol. Yeah, which is a similar operation what the relational operator performs in Java programming language. The relational operator has two operands, the left side one and the right side one. And these two operands are compared with each other using relational operator and provide us with a valid result. To understand relational operators in a much better way, let's go through a sample program. So this example is basically based on relational operators. To make things better, we have also used some logical operators as well. Now, the variables that we have used in this program are a, b, and c. A has value 10, b has value 5, and c has value 10. So what basically we are going to do here is we are going to compare a with b and similarly a with c. So the results of a compared b and a compared c are going through a logical operator, which is none other than the AND. If both the results are true, then the result must be true, else it should be printed as false. The same operation is conducted in the second statement as well. Now, without further delay, let's go and execute this program and see the output. As expected, A is greater than B, which is false, and A is less than C, which is true. True and false is always false. To get a true result using the logical operator AND, both the values should be true. So that's how it works. So we have got both the results as false, so this was the expected output. Then we shall continue further with the next type of operators, which are the bitwise operators. So the bitwise operators basically convert the decimal values into binary and apply the required operation on the converted bits to provide the expected results. It is completely similar to the shift operator what we have discussed earlier, but here the operations can be a little bit different. Now let's go and execute a sample program to understand bitwise operators in a good way. And now this program is an example for bitwise operators, and this program is completely similar to the previous one. The only difference is that we are going to apply the bitwise operator, which is none other than the post increment operator on the operand A, and then we are going to compare this with the variable C. And followed by that, we are going to print the value of A. Similarly, in the next statement, we are going to apply the post increment operator on the operand A and compare it against variable C and later print the value of A. Now that we have understood the program flow, let's try to execute it and see the output. You can see the value of A is being changed and the resultant value is also printed, which is the binary false and binary false 2 times. And also there is an update in the value, which is 10 and 11. Now we shall move further and understand the next type of operators, which are the logical operators. As you can see, we've already executed some basic programs based on logical operators, yet understanding them is not a trouble. Let's understand the logical operators. So logical operators are used to perform logical operations on the operands. So the basic logical operators in Java are AND, OR, and NOT. So the resultant of AND is a binary value, which is true or false. So to obtain a true value, both the operands should be true. If either of the value or both the values are false, then AND operator results in a false value. And similarly, when we move ahead into OR, even OR deals with two operands. To get a true value through OR, one of the operands should be true. If one value is true, then the resultant will be true. If both the values are false, then the resultant will be false. Finally, we come into NOT operator. NOT operator is simple. It just converts the bits. If you provide a true value to the NOT operator, then it simply negates it and results in a false result. Followed by the logical operators, we have the ternary operator. Ternary operator requires two operands. This operator reduces code length and the workload on the processor. We shall execute a sample program on ternary operators to understand this in a better way. So this particular example is based on ternary operators, and you can see the two operands that we have chose are A and B. A has the value 2 and B has the value 5. So basically what we are going to do here is we have declared a variable called minimum, and inside minimum we are going to store the value of the ternary operator. The first step in the ternary operator is the comparison. Here we are going to compare the values A and B. If the resultant of the comparison, that is, if A is less than B is true, then the value of A should be printed. Else, if it is false, then the value of B should be printed and the result should be stored in the variable minimum. So this is how the program works. Now let's try to execute it and see the output. You can see that A is basically less than B, so the first resultant is been stored in the value A, and this in turn is stored inside the minimum variable. and the value of minimum is been printed here. Now let's move ahead and understand the next type of operators, that are the assignment operators. Assignment operators are basically used to assign the value to the variable. So when we declare a variable in any programming language, we declare it like a is equals to 5, where we assign the value of 5 into the variable a. So this is how the assignment operators work, and these were the operators which are involved in Java programming language. Advancing ahead, we shall understand the control statements which are present in Java programming language. The conditional statements in Java suggest the computer that it should carry out the execution of a particular code segment if the given condition stated is true and valid. The control statements in Java are classified as follows. They are if-else loop, while loop, do-while loop, for loop, and finally the switch case. First, we shall understand the if-else loop. If-else loop is a basic loop that provides choice between one of the two provided operations. The true value is always selected every time. To understand if-else loop in a better way, let's try to execute a sample program. So this program is based on if-else loop. So what basically we are doing here is we are going to declare an integer type of variable number, and we are going to assign the value -10 to the number. And followed by the declaration, we have the if condition, and inside the if loop condition, if the number is greater than or equal to 0, then the result should be a message which says number is positive. Else, the computer should print the message which says the number is negative. Now let's try to execute this and see the output. As we know the number is negative, so the result should be the number is negative, as expected. Let's move ahead and understand the next type of control statement, which is the while loop. The while loop is an iteration loop that gets itself executed until the provided condition in the loop is true. So now let's execute a sample program to understand while loop in a better way. So this example is based on while loop, and here we are declaring a variable I which is equals to 0, and after that we have the while loop, and inside the while loop the condition is I should be less than 5, and if I is less than 5 the control should enter the while loop and print a message which is none other than the values of I. So the values of I will be printed until the loop condition is true, that is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has got successfully executed and the output has been generated, and the values of I are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how the while loops work in Java. Followed by while loop, we shall move ahead and understand the do while loop. The do while loop is completely similar to that of while loop, and the only difference is that the condition is placed at the end of the loop. So now let's see an example for do while loop. This example is based on do while loop. The only difference between the earlier program and this program is the while condition. So the while condition is placed at the end of the loop. This is the do while block, and after the end of the do block, the while where the condition has been placed. So now let's try to execute the program and see the output. As you can see, the program has got successfully executed and we got the same output out of the do while loop as well. But the only difference is that the do while loop will be executed at least for once, because the requirement to check the condition is not important in do while loop. So the first statement will be executed at least for once without checking the condition, and then after the execution of the statement the condition is checked. So that's the only difference between while loop and the do while loop. And moving ahead, we shall deal with the next type of loop, that is the for loop. The for loop is called as a controlled iteration loop. This loop has three parts: initialization, condition, and followed by that we have increment or either the decrement. Now let's try to execute a sample program to understand for loop in a better way. So this example is based on for loop. As you can see, we have an array of names. So the names are character type data types, and they are John, Jerry, Ralph, Jim, and Tom. Now what we're doing is we're going to print all these names using a for loop. So the initialization is I is equals to 0. So this particular part is known as the initialization part, and followed by that, this is the condition. The condition states that the loop or this for loop should run until the condition is true, which is the value of I should be less than or equal to the length of the array, which is ARR data. So the length of the array is 5 because we have mentioned 5 different names in the array, and after that we have the increment part, which is none other than the I++. So we have the post increment here. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the output has been generated. So that's how the for loop works in Java. Moving ahead, we shall understand the switch case in Java. Switch case is a selection statement that provides the user with multiple options and the true and valid option is selected out of the others. To understand switch case in a better way, let's try to execute a sample program in Java. So this example is based on switch case. So what exactly we are doing here is we are trying to print the name of the month by entering the number of the month. For example, for 1 you'll be printing January to February and similarly 12 for December. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. So you can see that the program has been executed successfully and it's asking me for the input. So to select June, we need to enter number 6 and enter. So there you go. So this was our expected output and this here it is. So with this, we finished the control statements in Java. Now let's advance into the object-oriented programming concepts in Java. OOPS concepts in Java are the main ideas behind the object-oriented nature of Java. So they are inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. So we shall deal with each one of them in a detailed way. Firstly, we shall learn about encapsulation. Encapsulation is a procedure of combining data members with the methods together forming a class. Followed by encapsulation, we have inheritance. Inheritance is a procedure where the child inherits the properties of the parent class. So basically there are multiple types of inheritances. We shall deal with each one of them as follows. Firstly, we shall deal with single inheritance. As you can see in the image, class A is known as the parent class and class B is known as the child class. So here, the class B is inheriting the behavior, methods, and all the variables from the class A. So this is known as the single level inheritance. Followed by single level inheritance, we have multi-level inheritance. In the multi-level inheritance, class C happens to be the child of class B. And similarly, class B happens to be the child of class A. So class B is inheriting all the properties from class A, and class C is inheriting the properties from class B as well as class A. So this is known as multi-level inheritance. Followed by multi-level inheritance, we have the hierarchical inheritance. Here, we have parent class as class A, and to the parent class class A, we have class B and class C and class D as the child classes. So all these three child classes are inheriting the properties and behavior of the parent class class A. Followed by hierarchical inheritance, we have the hybrid inheritance. Here, we have multiple types of inheritances. As you can see, the class A and class C are having single level inheritance and class B, class C along with class A are having multiple inheritance, and class E, class D and class B are having multiple level inheritance. So the combination of other inheritances is known as the hybrid inheritance. Don't worry, we shall execute code for each of the following inheritances to understand them in a better way. Firstly, we shall execute an example based on single level inheritance. As you can see, this particular example is based on single level inheritance where teacher happens to be the parent class and physics teacher happens to be the child class. So here, the child class is inheriting the properties of parent class, which are the designation and college name. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully inherited and the designation is teacher and the college name is Edureka, which has been printed here. These two properties are inherited from the parent class into the child class. Now followed by this, let's try to execute an example based on multi-level inheritance. So this particular example is based on multi-level inheritance where the main class or the parent class is car. Followed by that we have class Maruti, which happens to be the child class. The third and the last final class is called as Maruti 800, which inherits the class Maruti as well as car. Now let's try to execute this and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the output has been generated. Followed by this, we shall have an example for hierarchical inheritance. So this example is based on hierarchical inheritance. So here the main class is, or the main parent class is the fruit, and followed by that the child classes such as mango, apple and citrus fruits are inheriting the properties from fruit class. Now let's try to execute this and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the output has been generated. So followed by the hierarchical inheritance, we have the hybrid inheritance. Let's try to execute a sample program based on hybrid inheritance. So considering the same type of example, we shall execute the hybrid inheritance. You can see there is a multi-level inheritance over here where citrus extends the fruits mango and apple, and also other classes extend the class fruit, which is the hierarchical inheritance. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. You can see the program has been successfully executed and we got the same output over here as expected. Now followed by this, we shall enter into the next type of object-oriented programming concept, which is the abstraction. Abstraction is a process where important data is shown to the user and all the unnecessary coding part is kept hidden from the user. So to achieve abstraction in Java programming language, we got two ways. First one is by using abstract classes, and the next one is by using interface. We shall learn about them one by one. Firstly, we shall learn about interface. Interface achieves abstraction through implementation of the class method. It uses interface keyword. Now to understand interface in a much better way, let's try to execute a sample program based on interface. So this particular example is based on interface. So here our interface is called as solution. So we have declared this interface using the keyword interface. And now inside the interface, we have these following classes. Firstly, we have class A, which implements the solution, which is our interface, and followed by the next class is hello and welcome. And our main method is situated over here. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. You can see that the program has been successfully executed and the output is also generated, which is the message, hello world, welcome to Edureka. Now followed by interface, we shall move ahead and understand abstract classes in Java. Abstract class has both abstract method and as well as a non-abstract method. It is declared using the keyword abstract. The functionality of abstract class is to provide abstraction similar to interface. Now to understand abstract classes in a much better way, let's try to execute a program based on abstract classes. So you can see this particular example is based on abstract classes in Java. So we have declared the abstract class person using the abstract keyword, and inside the abstract class, we have name, gender, and using or extending the abstract class, we have created a new class which is called student, which has the student ID and student name as well as his roll number. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. You can see the program has been successfully executed and the output has been generated here. Now followed by abstract classes, we have polymorphism. Poly means multiple and morph means multiple forms. Polymorphism is a process of having multiple forms in the same object or method with same name but difference in functionality. So this might be a little complex. To make it simple, just imagine you have a program, and in that program you have two different methods. So the first method is on the name of add, and it can add two different operands. Like if you provide A and B, then it can add A plus B. And with the same name, you have another function. But the difference is, inside this function, you'll be having A, B, and C, the third variable. So here, the number of variables between A, the first method add, B, and the next method add is 2 and 3. So here, you have the function or method with the same name, but different number of parameters. So this is how the polymorphism works. To understand polymorphism in a much better way, let's extend ourselves to the next topic in Java programming, that is the advanced programming, where we will understand the polymorphism through function or method overloading and method overriding. So the first one, method overloading. Method overloading in Java is a feature that allows a class to have more than one method having the same name if either argument lists are different. So that's what we discussed earlier. The same name with argument list to be different. Now followed by that, we have method overriding. So method overriding is also a feature that allows the parent class and the subclass to have same method. That is, in a parent class, if you have a function or method with a name add, you can have the same method with the same name in the subclass as well. So To understand method overloading and method overriding in a much better way, let's try to execute some sample programs. So this particular example is based on method overloading in Java. As you can see, we have the method display and display in the class display overloading. So the main difference between the first display method and the second display method is the first display method has one parameter and the second display method has two parameters. So that's the difference. Now you can see we are calling both the functions and they are printing the data A and A10. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the data has been printed on the console. Now let's move ahead and understand function overriding. As you can see, this particular example is based on function overriding. As discussed before, the same method should be existing in the parent class as well as the child class. You can see we have a method called eat in the main class, that is human, and also we have a child class, that is boy, and in the child class we also have the same method called eat. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the output is generated on the console, which is none other than the message boy is eating. Now let's move ahead and continue with the next topic in our Java programming session, that is exception handling. An exception can be defined as an unwanted or an unexpected issue that disrupts the normal flow of the program. Now, what is an exception? Is it different from error or is it same as error? No, it is not same as error. There is some difference between an error and exception. An error is a serious problem that is completely unacceptable and should be resolved as soon as possible. But an exception may be acceptable in few cases and can be resolved or sometimes ignored. It does not create a huge hindrance to the normal flow of a program, but sometimes it may be serious. Now, to understand what is an exception, let us go through a sample program. You can see this particular program is based on divide by zero exception. So here, what are we trying to do? We have two numbers, number 1 and number 2. So number 1 is 15, number 2 is 0. So if you divide anything by 0, it is not possible. Then the program should provide you an output saying error or exception, divide by 0 is not possible, or similar message. Now let's try to execute this program and see if an exception is generated or not. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and it says can't be divided by 0. Now this was exception handling, and moving ahead we shall learn about multi-threading in Java. So what exactly is multi-threading? So multi-threading is a process using which a programmer can execute multiple tasks at the same time by utilizing processor to the maximum. To understand multi-threading in a much better way, we shall execute a sample program. As you can see, this particular program is based on multi-threading, where we are going to create thread 1 and thread 2, and also we shall see their status, if they are running or not. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, program has been successfully created and the threads have been created, and the thread 1 is existing and running, as well as thread 2 is also existing and running. Now moving ahead, we shall understand method calling. Firstly, we have call by value, and followed by that we have the call by method. Firstly, we shall deal with call by value. If a function is called by passing the value, that is, if the parameter sent to the method or the function is a value, then that particular type of function calling or method calling is called as calling by value. Similarly, we have call by reference. So if a function is called by passing variable address, that is the address where the data has been stored, then that type of method calling or function calling is called as call by reference. Now we shall execute an example based on both to understand them in a much better way. So this particular example is based on call by value. So here we are passing the parameters a and b, which are the values. Now what we are exactly trying to do is swap the values of a and b. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the numbers have been swapped now. Now similarly, we shall execute an example based on call by reference as well. As you can see, this particular example is based on call by reference. We have used wrapper classes here, and using those, we are going to send the address of the variables and the memory locations will be accessed and the values will be swapped. Now let's try to execute this and see the output. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and the result has been found after swapping the numbers. Now with this, let us move ahead and execute some of the use cases for today's session. So this particular use case here is based on an online examination, which will provide you multiple choice type of questions. Now let's try to execute this program and see the output. Don't worry about the code. If you need it, just mail to us or write us down in the comment section below and we will respond to you as soon as possible. Don't forget to provide your mail ID so that we can mail you the code. As you can see, the program has been successfully executed and it has generated the output which as the first type of multiple choice questions. Here you have got which one of these among is not a primitive data type. So you need to answer this, just the right answer which is Boolean, and the next answer, next. This is how you go and answer 10 questions, and once after the 10 questions are done, you can see your result and then just OK. So that's how we made our first use case of project, and followed by this we shall execute one more and we shall wind up the session. So you can see this project or this use case is rather a simpler one. Here we are just going to generate some OTPs, and now let's execute this program and see the output. You can see the program has got successfully executed and we have our new random OTP which is generated over here, which is 1927. So with this, we come to an end of this particular session. If you have any queries regarding this session, or if you require code for any of the programs that we have executed over here, then you can write to us in the comment section below and we will respond to you as soon as possible. Till then, thank you and wish you all a very happy learning.
I hope you have enjoyed listening to this video. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries and we will reply them at the earliest. Do look out for more videos in our playlist and subscribe to Edureka channel to learn more. Happy learning!